What's a secret you'll never tell your partner but are willing to tell strangers on Reddit? When I was 14, my grandma passed away. For years, I had been bothering my parents for my own gold necklace. Well, Gram had a little bit of money and she gave me the $300 for a gold necklace in her will. It was my pride and joy. I had it around my neck for 17 years before I met my wife. It was off my neck maybe 3 times in those 17 years. My wife then girlfriend knew how much it meant to me and asked to wear it once. Well, it never came home. She had lost it somewhere or it had gotten stolen. I was distraught like crazy for 3 or 4 days while we turned our house upside down looking for it. Inevitably, I gave up, but she was very bothered by it all. So, I decided to go to a pawn shop and buy the closest I could get to an exact duplicate, and then I told her that I had found the necklace in the couch cushions. To this day, she thinks that I found my necklace from my grandmother. But this is actually version 2. My partner doesn't know how bad my mental health really is. She knows I've reached out for support but doesn't know the extent of help I'm seeking. I just can't bring myself to say those words to her, that I am the one placing the googly eyes on everything in our house, not our 6-year-old. I will listen to a song 10 times in a row because I need to listen to all the instruments and melodies separately before moving on to the next song. One time we had half a container of ice cream left. I had a craving. I ate a bowl, then another. Then I decided to finish the tub to destroy the evidence. Then I realized she would notice that there was no ice cream left. So I went to the store, bought another tub, and then ate that one down to the same level. This was a gallon tub. That my wife always screams. She just doesn't seem to be able to talk at a normal level. Feel like she should be selling fish at a marketplace. Love her though. My husband loves talkative cats. When we first got our kittens I gave them a treat every time they made a meow or chirp. Since I was working from home they ended up becoming very vocal. He still goes on about how lucky we are to have such talkative cats on a weekly basis. Her actions and her words are 2 different worlds. She says she wants something while she is doing the exact opposite. It's her business up to here. The problem is that she's putting a lot of pressure on me because of her words and actions. This part is my problem and have to solve it. I need to stop worrying about her and just mind my own business. My wife shit while delivering our son. Something she was terrified she would do. The nurse cleaned up very quickly and gave me a look that needed no explanation. I never said a word. She talked after delivery about how happy she was that didn't happen to her. I'll let her keep that peace of mind for life. It was an accident we met. I thought I was agreeing to see his friend, who was the other guy in the picture, that I wish she would find a career or pursue a degree so I don't have to work 1,000 hours of odd a year so she can sit at home. Sometimes I just sit in my car outside work or our apartment for 20-30 minutes because I need some time alone. I have my mind full to the brim at work and rarely get time in the house alone. Sometimes I just need it to be quiet and not have to pay attention to anything. Sometimes I want to just leave him with the kids for weeks and see if they'd survive. I don't believe so many people cared about me. I have never been loved this much by this many people. Love you all. And thank you for each and every advice. When I play video games and my wife isn't here, I narrate what I do and respond to fake questions from a non-existent chat like I'm some kind of big shot streamer. I even look at a fake camera when something happened lol. The reason I wasn't hungry that one day in Dublin was because when I stayed behind to get ready while she waited in the lobby I ate the entire box of leftover chicken wings that we took home from the restaurant the day before. I ate 15 cold, oily chicken wings in about 5 minutes at 9 a.m. before heading out for breakfast. My wife hates her dad more than anything. We haven't talked to him much after he refused come to our wedding 2 years ago since he thinks she could do better than me. She is like him in so many ways. I would never have the heart to tell her. Last night you made fried rice with shrimp. I ate the whole bowl even though it tasted nasty. God, it was awful. Our cat didn't break the towel rack. I did. I was pretending to be fighting zombies and grabbed it hand. Ripped the goddamn thing off the wall. I heard her coming to check out the noise and looked down at my cat. She came into the bathroom to me asking my cat, why did you think the towel rack could hold your weight? You silly cat. I never paid for her engagement ring. I went to a custom jeweler to have her ring made. It's a beautiful piece, and she loves it dearly, and it certainly wasn't cheap, appraised and insured for around $10,000. The jeweler was dealing with a lot of family issues at the time, and was incredibly disorganized. I went to pick up the ring and brought my checkbook to pay for it, and when she handed me the ring I took it out and asked her who to make the check out to. She said, oh no, don't worry about it right now, just send me a check in the mail. I thought that was strange, but sure, okay. She then hurried off to help another customer and I left. But she never told me what the final price was. For the next 6 months, I texted and called the jeweler asking, hey, just tell me what amount to put and I'll mail you the check. And there was always a reason she couldn't tell me. "Oh sorry, I'm out right now, I'll find it and text you later." Her shop was a few hours away from where I live, so it wasn't feasible to stop by and handle it in person. I tried for 6 months, but after that I stopped calling texting and just figured I got the ring for free. I wouldn't tell my spouse, because I don't want her to think I took advantage of the situation or that somehow the ring isn't as meaningful because I didn't pay for it. When I asked her dad for his blessing, I had some liquid courage first and I can't remember what his response was. Let's hope it was yes, because we've been married for over 2 years. "I've broken your personalized cup your sister got you 3 times. I recreated the design on paint and got some screen printing stall at the mall to print it on the cup. Each time it looks a little bit different, smiley face. Every time we're playing Yahtzee and she asks do I have one more roll or was that 3, I always say one more regardless of the truth. That time I asked you if I could have the last cookie, I implied there was only one left when there was actually 2. I wanted both of them and didn't want to share. They were delicious and I have no regrets." That she killed a cat. She's very much a cat person. Once she picks me up from a friend's house and driving through town, a cat ran in front of us and we heard a thud underneath the car. She screamed and looked in the rearview mirror and we seen the cat stagger into a driveway. She was very upset and convinced she killed it. I told her no, the cat clearly ran across the street and is probably fine. She was meeting some friends and I was taking the car home, so she said would I check the driveway of that house on my way home to make sure the cat was okay. I said I would. I drove back that way and parked a few houses down and looked in the driveways and there it was, lying motionless, sprawled out on the ground. Oh shit. Part of me was thinking just go home and say you seen it happily licking its anus. But curiosity got the better of me. I wanted to check to make sure it was still living. The problem was it was a gated house that was also a BB, so I didn't want to just wander in on someone else's property. So I rang the phone number on the sign at the side of the road. By this stage I'm thinking, what the hell are you at? You should have been home long ago, but I was on autopilot and just went with it. The owner answers and I tell him there's a possibility dead cat in your drive. Do you mind if I come in just to check it's okay? The guy is like yeah, I guess. It's just I'm out of town and there's no one here, but it's fine if you want to let yourself in the side gate. He also says thanks, so at this point I have to do it. I'm too far in now. I let myself in and walk over and there she is, a big dead cat. Oh balls. Well, I'll just tell my wife the cat wasn't there and we can forget about the whole thing. Except the owner now knows there could be a dead cat on his property, and when he gets home and sees it lying there he's got my number and will know I just left it there. So now I have to make a decision. Do I leave this dead cat here or do I take it away, and if I do, what do I do with it? Across the street is a store, so I walk over and buy bin bags and rubber gloves, make my way back over and scoop the fluffy corpse into a bin bag. Now I got a dead cat in a bag. I walk over to my car carrying this black bin bag. People are walking past me on the street, smiling and giving that upwards nod that strangers give. I give a nod back, but I'm not fully into it because they don't know I'm walking past them with a dead cat in a bin bag. I don't feel like taking it into my car because, you know, it's a dead cat. So I Google vets and there happens to be one not too far away. Walking distance. I ring and ask them do they dispose of dead pets. They said they do. So I make my way down there, in through the front door, and ask the receptionist, was I just talking to them about pet disposal? She looks at me slightly freaked and says yes. I produce the bag and say, oh well, I have a cat here, and can I just give it to her? She's like, hey yeah, you just leave it at our back door back outside, and charges me 50 quid for the pleasure. I walked back to the car, and sat there for at least half an hour, in silence and as still as a dead cat, trying to process the last hour of my life. I text my wife and say, no honey, couldn't find the cat, she must be fine and ran off somewhere safe, see you at home 30. My nieces don't like the aquarium. I just constantly took them there because I thought my now girlfriend, who works there, was pretty and thought if she saw me constantly taking them it'd lead to us talking. I have ridiculously complex and drawn out arguments with myself when no one's around. One of the me's is pretty cool, the other one is kind of a dick. Edit just to add, I'm not sure which one is the real me. A former boyfriend of mine had a cat that he didn't treat very well. He never abused the cat, he just had depression and would get frustrated at the cat easily and not play with it enough. One time the cat knocked down his favorite plant and broke the pot, spilling soil everywhere. I took the blame, dealt with home being a lil bitchy at me, just to make sure he didn't get further upset at the cat. Never told him. Cat got rehomed, under his mature decision, and is doing very well. It's been 4 years and I'm still super annoyed that he can't remember that one dream he had one night that caused him to laugh his ass off in his sleep. I wanna know the funny. My wife's makeup looked terrible on our wedding day, that I resent her for forgetting my birthday 2 years in a row. I dropped the diaper rash cream container on our daughter's head when she was like 8 days old. She let out this scream that still haunts me. When he came in the room to see what happened, I lied and said I just dropped the lid on her, that she killed a cat. She's very much a cat person. Once she picks me up from a friend's house and driving through town, a cat ran in front of us and we heard a thud underneath the car. She screamed and looked in the rearview mirror and we seen the cat stagger into a driveway. What I actually paid for my woodworking tools added obligatory RIP inbox, as a few have pointed out. This absolutely applies to pretty much any hobby. And I'll put it here since so many are asking. But I don't actually keep track of how much I've spent over the years, but just the big expensive ones I remember I'm over 5K already. Then all the smaller tools, chisels, hand planes, and ultimately I should include the cost of running a 220V single-phase outlet for my joiner, and more than I really want to admit to myself, but the joy and sense of accomplishment I get on the completed pieces are worth every penny spent. It really is my happy place. That he legit saved my life. He's a nervous, humble guy who doesn't like undue pressure or praise, so I keep it to myself just how bad off I was before he showed up. Because even in the aftermath of my mom's death and even in the face of some pretty nasty health problems which I was just letting slide because I was so depressed I was kind of hoping they'd kill me, I was very good at smiling and being charming. 3 years of taking care of a terminally ill parent taught me how to smile and bear it and feign positivity even when you're running on empty. And I never felt like I could be anything other than the fixer. The doer. The person who always knows what to say. The reliable one. The who has every answer and can make bad feelings go away by just fixing the problem for you. I was not allowed to be negative. Ever. But he legit came in and helped me with mom's estate and cheerleaded me into getting out of a dead-end career and put a stake in the heart of some severely toxic relationships I had, and even helped me budget so I could finally afford health insurance. Which wasn't a moment too soon, because I caught shit right in the nick of time. And he just kind of did it. In his mind it was nothing much because you were on the right track, but you had a lot on your plate and needed help. And I just nodded and agree, because what else do I say? I actually wasn't. I was just going to let myself die because I was exhausted and miserable, smiles aside. Thanks for intervening. That I know the word she's looking for, but it's more fun to hear her rattle off increasingly ridiculous, sometimes made up words instead. That his parents are really pissing me off and I do not want to be around them anymore. They're lousy grandparents to our son but not to his sister's children. Added for clarity, I love my in-laws. My husband and I have been together for 12 years. We just had our first son last year after trying for a decade. He was born very early and spent a good chunk of his life in the NICU. He's now 10 months old and has been home for almost 6 of those. This issue I have had with my in-laws is a very recent development. It started immediately when he came home. We told both sides of our family we wanted at least a week for the 3 of us to get adjusted. We also had 4 different doctor's appointments in that first week. When my husband told his mom that we wanted that week, she got immediately upset. She assumed that my family would be coming by. He assured her that they were not, but she was still in belief that my mom would be here. My mom has a very demanding job and works a lot of hours. She manages to come see him at least once a week, and she lives about 40 minutes away. When she comes up she spends several hours here. His parents live between 10 and 15 minutes away depending on traffic. His dad does not work, and his mom has a lot of days where she works from home without a set schedule. They come up sometimes once a week and sometimes once every 2 weeks. For no longer than 1 hour at a time. I have told them on so many occasions that they're welcome to come up anytime as long as they call prior to coming in case we have an appointment or my mom is here. Our son is on oxygen and is still very high risk, so we try not to take him out too often or have him get overstimulated with too many visitors in one day. They see my SIL children daily or very close to daily. They're older, between 10 and 15 in ages. There are 4 children and the younger ones are not well behaved. When asked about why they don't come to see him more often recently, Phil was coming up with all kinds of things to be annoyed about. IFB post about a college my husband posted, a security camera we have in our living room from when we took a vacation that isn't plugged in, and that I was laying down because I got so little sleep the night before. I did talk to my husband about how I was feeling. He said he totally understands and said he's been feeling a little upset about them himself. Again, I do not hate them. They're very dear to me, which is why it upsets me so much that they don't want to see their grandson. I hate that he doesn't want to go anywhere, ever. Everything is always a chore or he dreads it. I want to go on hikes, random car rides, a damn picnic. Just get out of the house with him, just him. I want to go on dates. I'm growing very tired of this lifestyle. Added I didn't expect this to blow up. As many said, it could very well be depression, money management and health reasons. I've decided after reading a lot of the comments that I will have a serious talk with him. Besides that, we will have to look into him finding a therapist and hopefully he will become social again. I know there's a lot of factors to his introvertedness. I am terrified that my partner will die because I know I am not really a functional adult outside of my work. I am good for playing with the kids, bringing in a decent income and making food, but the idea of single parenting and taking care of everything fills me with existential dread I have a hard time describing. Obligatory edit. Thank you all for the support and kind comments. I never expected my top comment ever would be about how I worry for the future because I feel like 3 raccoons in a trench coat instead of a human adult. If you feel the same way, just know you aren't alone. My best friend is a badger and I feed him sweet corn every morning at 5:20 a.m. Edit. Wow, this really blew, and my badger friend Lucius appreciate all the support. I got our toddler out of bed one morning and went to do a sniff test of their butt to see if they had pooped overnight, and when I lifted my child up I stuck their head in the ceiling fan. Oh, and the time I forgot to put the car in park with them in it. That the thing that made me realize that I was in love with her is when I was taking a shower and got done. I walked into the room and she must not have heard me get out. She was laying on her side on the bed with her eyes closed, and she was picking her nose. I didn't want to embarrass her, so I stepped back out and from a distance asked where I set my clean clothes as I was walking back in, to make it seem like I was just coming in. She was visibly startled and quickly stopped, but continued to lay there with her eyes closed. I pretended that I saw nothing, but I couldn't help but smile. It was such an innocent and human moment. I have no idea why, but it made me realize right then and there that I loved everything about her. As silly as that moment was, there was a beauty in it, and I cherish that memory. I can't remember the last time I was genuinely happy more than just an in-the-moment feeling due to something happening. My default emotion is just depressed tired. 15 years ago I had a new medication that did not mix well with alcohol. I had a party with friends, we decided to go out in town. Next thing I remember, I woke up in a cell at the police station stripped down to my undies. It turned out I took a taxi. Instead of going home I went to my mother's street. Apparently I was lucid enough to remember her street, but not her house, and ended up in her neighbor's backyard doing enough noise to wake him up. In the end I got a $400-ish fine and a tremendous amount of shame, that I actually prefer creamy peanut butter. I buy the extra crunchy because that's what he likes. Working 3 jobs to support him and his lifestyle and the kids. He thinks I'm working 1. But he lost his entire family in the past 3 years and his grief is breaking him. So I don't mind working this much if it means he can take a break and work on his mental health. I love him. I'd do anything for him. If not for my partner and my family, I would have killed myself a long time ago. They are literally what I live for, and I can't tell them that because they would worry about me so much. Edit. I am not actively suicidal, and I will not harm myself in the foreseeable future. I have been molested 4 times by 4 different old guys, and I am male. Who wants to admit they ate 9 cans of ravioli? I'm really tired of everything. Edit. First I would like to say thank you very much to everyone who interacted with this thread. I didn't expect so many comments. I am very happy with the concern of many of you, and I would like to ask all those who have told me not to talk to my girlfriend but only to my male friends, please try to be more open with your partners. Support and trust has to come from both sides. I have trouble opening up and expressing myself sometimes, but I work hard to improve this, and again I would like to thank those who gave advice on how to improve this. I hope that nobody here gives up fighting to be well, and especially that nobody stops fighting for a better future. Keep standing with all my heart. Thank you very much. I apologize for the writing. English is not my native language. Know me but my friend, so his wife was really sick but was also extremely stubborn and religious. She believed that God will heal her, so he came to me and asked for a few of my sleeping pills. They're really strong and get you into a deep sleep quickly. So puts the pills in her drink. Like clockwork, in 30 minutes she's out cold. He then asks me to help him get her to hospital. Next morning she wakes up in the hospital. Good thing too, course on top of that sickness she had. She had stage 1 cancer. She survived and it's all good now. But he made me swear I don't tell her what we did. That she is far more similar to her mother and sisters than she would want to believe. That I'm so miserable. He's a good guy, but 20 years later and we deserve better fits. The problem is that we're not awful together and everything is so enmeshed at this point. My political and religious views have changed so much, while his haven't. We don't have meaningful conversations anymore. We have great sex, but I don't even want to because I don't feel a connection. We're making long-term retirement plans, but I feel like it's just me smiling and nodding to whatever he wants. Not like I think there's a better fit out there for me. I'm scared of leaving the safety I've invested in. All of our retirement savings is under his name. I don't want to hurt his feelings either. Whenever I suggest marriage counseling, he blows it off as an unnecessary expense. So I don't nag, try to keep the status quo, and be thankful for stability at least. I pissed myself on accident trying to not be a 2-trip bitch running my groceries up to my apartment. The time I had intercourse with a snowman in a ditch behind my house. Though it was innocent, it's not something I'd talk about with anyone except the thousands of Redditors and millions people who saw the story I posted here that someone put on YouTube. Anyway, I guess I could tell it again. So, I believe it was March 1993 and a huge blizzard swept the East Coast. I was young, bored and extremely horny. I didn't know then what exactly it was that I was feeling but knew that it was normal for my age. Well, we were out of school for what must have been 3 weeks but felt like an eternity. I wasn't around anyone my age, there were no girls in my neighborhood and obviously no internet for browsing of a certain kind, but even if there was, I'd definitely be too afraid to attempt it. One evening before dark, I decided enough was enough and I couldn't handle the urge anymore. I had been holding back for weeks because I was too embarrassed to do anything in the bathroom. The guilt and anxiety of someone catching me was too much. My room wasn't an option because the door didn't lock, and when my door was shut someone would ask why or just open it. It was far too risky and I couldn't jeopardize my reputation of being the only normal one in my family. I threw on my snow clothes and scuttled off into the wilderness behind my house with a plan. I wasn't sure I'd actually do it, but I wasn't exactly thinking straight either, for obvious reasons. Once I arrived at my destination, I decided to slide down into a gully that was about 15 feet deep. I sat there for a few minutes and listened for footsteps in case someone saw me, but it was silent, completely silent, where I could almost hear my inner voice say, "Don't do it, man. This is the moment of no return," I told myself. I was like a runaway train never going back, wrong way on a one-way track. Anyway, I got to work and started shaping snow into a female body. She had boobs, curves and the necessary inlet. I unzipped and went ahead with the task that lay before me, and within a minute or so it was all over. A few seconds of guilt and shame overcame me as I zipped up and erased the evidence. I crawled out of the gully back through the woods to my house. I went to my room and tried my best to forget her, but to my surprise that would be impossible, and every time it snows, I still think of her.